Men, I need you to listen very carefully because the information I'm about to share is going to fundamentally shake your understanding of aging and your own masculinity. If you have crossed the age of 60 and are relying solely on olive oil to maintain your heart health and circulation, you might be unknowingly deactivating one of the most potent natural mechanisms for achieving erections. The reason countless senior men experience a loss of firmness, the disappearance of morning wood, and a collapse in confidence has nothing to do with their age. The cause is that nobody has ever been honest with you about the silent changes occurring within your arteries. You are familiar with the sensation, waking up to nothing happening, staring in the mirror, wondering where that inner fire went, or attempting intimacy only to lose firmness halfway through. You see the hope in your partner's eyes turn to disappointment, and you pretend it's fine, even though you feel a piece of your identity slipping away. This pain is genuine and it erodes a man from the inside out. Here is the strange paradox that nobody discusses. Olive oil by itself does almost nothing for the tiny arteries in your penis unless it is paired with vinegar. However, when these two ingredients are combined, blood flow can surge rapidly enough for some men to feel a distinct change in as little as 24 hours. Let me introduce myself. I am Dr. William Lee, a urologist and men's health specialist with over 30 years of experience helping men reclaim their strength, vitality, and confidence. Before we proceed, if you are serious about rebuilding your manhood and want more science based tools, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. This signals to YouTube that this message is vital. Also, leave a comment below. Type 1 if you are ready to take control, or 0 if you feel you need more clarity. Now, let's examine exactly why vinegar changes the game. Point 1, the core problem older men face. Let me ask you a question most men are terrified to vocalize. When was the last time you woke up feeling truly alive as a man? I am referring to that unmistakable morning signal that once made you feel powerful, confident, and ready to conquer the world. For many men over 60, that signal has gone silent. It didn't happen gradually or gently. One day it was there, and the next, almost without warning, it wasn't. No one prepares you for the silence that follows. The brutal truth that must be heard is this: a man does not begin to age in his face, hair, or joints first. He ages in his blood flow. The decline starts silently, buried deep within arteries you cannot see. There are no alarms, no flashing lights, and no doctor looking you in the eye to warn you of what is coming. You go from being strong and capable to standing in the bathroom, staring at your reflection, wondering where your power went and why your body ignores your mind. Simple things that were once effortless now feel impossible. It starts with small moments. You claim you are just tired. You avoid intimacy because you fear the result. You deflect with jokes and pretend it doesn't matter, all while avoiding the disappointment in your partner's eyes. The nights grow quieter. Distance builds, not from a lack of love, but from a loss of confidence. Slowly, you feel diminished in your own life, watching yourself fade from a role you once held with pride. But here is what nobody tells you: that heaviness in your chest and the shame you carry are not the thoughts of a weak man. They are the thoughts of a man left alone without answers, a man told to accept aging rather than being told the truth. The loss of sexual strength is not a loss of masculinity, it is a loss of blood flow. Blood flow can be rebuilt, strength can return, confidence can be reborn. The real issue is not desire. You still feel it. It isn't your partner. You still care. It isn't age. Men in their 70s and 80s are reclaiming what they lost every single day. The actual problem is that the blood highways inside your body have narrowed, the pressure has weakened, and the pathways are blocked. Your body is trying to speak to you, begging for reactivation. The critical question isn't what you have lost, but rather, what if you could unlock the blood flow trapped inside you for years? What if the strength you thought was gone was simply awaiting the right signal? This brings us to a fact most men never learn. The penis is not driven by age or testosterone alone, it is driven by blood. In this next section, I will show you the shocking truth about what the penis actually is and why understanding this changes everything. Point 2, the penis is a blood flow organ. Most men spend their lives believing a lie about their physiology. They believe erections are about testosterone, desire, excitement, or willpower. When a response doesn't happen, they think something is wrong with them as men. But the truth that shocks almost every patient in my office is that an erection has almost nothing to do with strength and everything to do with blood flow. The penis is not a muscle controlled by force, it is a vascular organ, a chamber of tiny arteries and delicate tissue that depends entirely on the pressure and speed of blood filling it. Without powerful circulation, nothing happens, regardless of how much you want it or how hard you try. Consider those nights you blamed yourself or looked in the mirror feeling like less of a man. What if the problem was never your masculinity? What if your blood flow began fading long before anyone warned you? Something silent has been occurring inside your body for years. The arteries that once opened effortlessly to allow blood to surge have slowly stiffened and narrowed, losing their flexibility. The first place this damage appears is not your heart, brain, or muscles, but your penis, because the arteries there are the smallest. When those tiny vessels lose just a little function, the impact is massive. A mere 5% reduction in blood flow can result in a 50% loss of firmness. That is the biology behind the heartbreak and the science behind the silence. Yet nobody teaches this to men. You are told to accept it as age or take another pill. But pills do not rebuild arteries or heal damaged blood vessels. They don't restore your natural hydraulic power. They force a temporary reaction but ignore the cause. And when the effect fades, the fear returns even stronger. When I explain to a man that his penis is a blood flow organ and that this process implies no failure of manhood, I see his shoulders drop in relief. Tears often form in the eyes of men who have carried shame for decades because they realize they are not broken. They are simply blocked. A blockage can be cleared, a pathway can be reopened, a hydraulic system can be restored. Imagine how your life would change if you could control your circulation the way you once controlled your strength. What would it be like to wake up with that unmistakable signal again, not by luck or chemicals, but because your body remembered how to function? Hold on to that thought, because next I will reveal why olive oil alone fails to open those arteries, why many men get stuck despite their efforts, and the one surprising trigger that unlocks true blood flow. Point 3: olive oil alone is not enough. This reality shocks nearly every man hearing it for the first time. You can eat the cleanest meals, pour olive oil on your salad nightly, and walk miles every week to protect your heart, yet still watch your erections fade. You can do everything doctors and magazines tell you to do and still lie awake wondering why nothing changes. The brutal truth is that olive oil by itself is insufficient to restore blood flow to the body's smallest arteries. It may support the heart and brain or reduce joint inflammation, but for the delicate vascular system of the penis, using olive oil alone is like trying to push open a locked door without a key. Think of the years you spent believing you were providing your body what it needed: healthy fats, no fried foods, Mediterranean diet habits, expecting improvement. Yet deep down, things didn't match up. Your blood pressure may have improved, but your confidence shrank. Your physical strength held steady, but the spark defining your manhood faded. You waited for progress but found disappointment, which turned into confusion, frustration, and eventually quiet fear. This fear becomes a silence that eats away at you. The reason olive oil doesn't work alone is simple biology. Arteries need nitric oxide to expand and flood the penis with blood. This molecule signals vessel walls to relax. Without nitric oxide, arteries stay tight regardless of your diet. Olive oil cannot trigger nitric oxide on its own. It requires a catalyst, a chemical signal to activate that vascular response and unlock pathways tightened by time and inflammation. That missing trigger is what most men never discover, leaving them stuck in a cycle of unrewarded effort. Discipline without the right science leads only to disappointment, carrying a heavy emotional weight that affects your identity, connections, and dignity. But what if the solution wasn't complicated? What if one simple signal was all your body needed to unlock the circulation you fought to restore? What if a natural switch could turn olive oil from helpful to transformative? Stay with me, because next I will reveal the ingredient that turns everything around, the key that unlocks blood flow even in men in their 70s and 80s, working faster than most believe possible. Point four, vinegar is the activation switch. Here is a truth that stops men in their tracks. The difference between a weak, fading erection and a strong, confident one can come down to something as ordinary as vinegar. Not a pill, expensive supplement, or risky procedure, just vinegar. It sounds too simple to matter. But what if the most powerful solution was hidden in plain sight? The science is undeniable. Vinegar contains acetic acid, a compound that triggers a reaction cascade affecting erectile strength. When acetic acid enters the bloodstream, it signals the endothelium, your artery lining, to release nitric oxide. This opens and relaxes the vessels, allowing blood to rush into the penis with force, speed, and pressure. That rush differentiates hoping for an erection from experiencing one. But vinegar's impact goes deeper. It lowers blood sugar spikes, protecting delicate tissues. It reduces inflammation that stiffens arteries. It helps burn visceral belly fat that suffocates testosterone. Surprisingly, it restores gut microbiome balance, which regulates inflammation and hormones. When the gut heals, vessels relax, and circulation improves, strength returns from the inside out. Men constantly tell me, I felt like something inside me turned back on. They say it with disbelief and relief. They report warmer feet, lighter energy, better sleep, eased blood pressure, and rebuilding confidence. Often sooner than expected, they wake up to a morning they thought was lost to the past, not by luck, but because their body received the signal it was waiting for. Most men search for complex, expensive answers or medication, but the truth is humbling. Sometimes the body just needs the chance to function as designed. Vinegar is not magic. It is a switch that turns circulation back on. So, if vinegar unlocks blood flow, what happens when you combine it with the partner ingredient that amplifies its effect? What happens when the key meets the lock? Stay with me to discover the moment everything changes. Point five, the power of combining vinegar and olive oil. This may be the most important concept in this video. Vinegar is powerful, but combining it with olive oil creates a biological reaction capable of restoring erections in men well into their 70s and 80s. Together, they create a transformation that makes men wonder, why didn't anyone tell me this sooner? Vinegar unlocks the arteries, releasing nitric oxide, while olive oil, carrying healthy monounsaturated fats and antioxidants, acts as fuel. It improves absorption, protects the endothelium from damage, and stabilizes the released nitric oxide. Together, they create a circulation surge many men haven't felt in years, awakening a dormant system. Men often come to me frustrated, saying they eat healthy and exercise but still struggle. I tell them olive oil supports the highway, but vinegar opens the gate. You need both for blood to move with force. One without the other is wasted potential. Together, they are nature's simplest tool for restoring male vitality. I have watched this change hundreds of times. A man without morning wood for months wakes up different. A husband who avoided intimacy out of fear reaches for his wife without hesitation. A man who thought his body was finished feels warmth, clarity, and power return. The smile that forms on his face, a mix of relief, surprise, and reclaimed pride, is always the same. The emotional shift is as real as the physical one. It is the moment a man stops fading and starts rising. The silence breaks and hope returns. When blood flow comes back, confidence, connection, and identity return with it. One daily habit can achieve what years of worry could not. So, how do you use this correctly to feel results in days rather than months? And how do you avoid the mistakes that cause failure? Stay with me. The next section is where this becomes practical. Point six, how to use it correctly. The method most men get wrong. Most men fail not because the solution doesn't work, but because they rush, improvise, or use poor technique. The problem isn't age or biology. It is the method. There is a specific way to use vinegar and olive oil to activate blood flow. It begins 10 to 15 minutes before your two largest meals. Mix 1 to 2 teaspoons of vinegar, apple cider or red wine vinegar, into a tall glass of water and sip slowly. This blunts the blood sugar spike that damages the endothelium, allowing vessel walls to relax rather than tighten. This step alone changes your body's response for hours. Then comes the second part. At least once a day, ideally at dinner, eat a salad with 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil and 1 to 2 teaspoons of vinegar, mixed with whole foods like greens or avocado. When these ingredients enter the bloodstream together, olive oil protects and carries, while vinegar triggers nitric oxide. It acts like turning two keys in one lock to open the gates. This causes the surge in circulation where warmth returns to the extremities and strength sparks in the body. The first signs are often emotional, feeling lighter, clearer, and breathing easier. Physical tasks become easier. Then, without warning, the body sends a resurrection signal, natural and alive. This happens through consistency and discipline. A man decides he is not done and his body responds. But what proof is there? What happens when men in their 60s, 70s, and 80s commit to this? Stay with me for stories that will restore your belief. Point 7. Real men, real results. The most powerful transformations I have witnessed were not in journals, but on the faces of defeated men who returned to my office standing tall. These are real men who dared to believe life wasn't finished with them. I remember a 71-year-old who felt he was disappearing, having had no morning erections for a year. He tried everything. After 3 weeks on this protocol, he smiled for the first time, telling me the signal returned sudden and strong, bringing him to tears of relief. I feel like a man again, he said. Another patient, 64, avoided intimacy due to fear of failure, creating a heavy silence in his marriage. After 4 weeks, he reported warmth returning and a natural, unpressured moment of intimacy. His wife wrote to tell me she got her husband back emotionally and physically. Then there was an 82-year-old engineer who just wanted to feel alive for himself. 2 months later, he returned with tears, saying, "It happened," laughing like a boy. These stories prove you are never too old to heal. Decline is not destiny. Your body remembers how to rise when given the chance. When blood flow returns, so does everything that makes life worth living: connection, joy, intimacy, and pride. Now, the question separating those who change from those who stay stuck is, what will you do with this? The next section is about responsibility and avoiding dangerous mistakes. Point 8. Warning and final truth. I must be absolutely clear here. Misunderstanding this can cause pain far worse than your current problem. Desperate men sometimes apply vinegar directly to the penis. Never do this. The penile tissue is incredibly delicate, and vinegar can burn, irritate, and permanently damage it. I have treated men shaking with regret and pain after trying this. Nothing good comes from panic. Healing happens through understanding. Restoring erections is about rebuilding internal systems, arteries, and blood chemistry, not attacking the surface. The answer is circulation, a strong vascular system, and relaxed arteries. This is why pills are temporary and shortcuts fail. You must open the path for blood to flow. Success comes to men who choose discipline over desperation, providing their body with inflammation reduction and endothelial protection. They stay the course, and the body responds with respect. When blood flow returns, the man who wants to be proud of his reflection and connect without fear returns too. It is about the dignity of knowing you are still powerful and worthy of joy. Everything comes down to one truth: your future depends on choice, not luck. Stay with me for the conclusion, the most important message for every man over 60. Conclusion: if you have reached this point, I know you are not a man who gives up. You are not ready to surrender to age. You are willing to fight for the strength that belongs to you. Hear this clearly: your body is not finished. Your story is not closing. You stand at a turning point where what was lost can return through biology, discipline, and action. Erections are controlled by blood flow, which can be rebuilt. The vinegar and olive oil combination is a scientifically grounded tool that opens pathways your body has been begging for. When used consistently alongside small daily habits, the arteries soften, nitric oxide rises, circulation strengthens, and the part of you that felt asleep wakes up. I have watched men in their 60s, 70s, and 80s experience rebirths that doctors deemed impossible. I have seen marriages repaired by the return of intimacy and men rediscovering their past selves. The joy in that moment is unlike anything else. You deserve to feel strong, connected, and proud again. You deserve mornings that prove you are still capable and nights that end in closeness. My challenge to you is to start today. Do not wait for motivation or permission. Pour the vinegar water before your next meal. Build the salad tonight. Walk for 20 minutes. Repeat this tomorrow and the next day. If you do, life will respond. If this message sparked something in you, share it with a man who needs hope. Leave a comment telling me where you are starting and subscribe so you don't miss what is next. I am Dr. William Lee, and I am telling you with full conviction it is not too late. Your best chapter may still be waiting to be written, and the pen is in your hands right now.